Hi Scorpios, welcome to your August 2019 Astrology 33 reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, donated to the channel. I appreciate all that. And for those of you who'd like to book a personal reading with me, follow me on Instagram or donate to the channel. Just check out the description of the video. All that information will be in there. Alright, so with that out of the way, we'll get to your main spread. Have a Celtic cross spread as always. And then I actually pulled some oracle cards that we'll read after the main spread to help tie everything together. And we also have a mudra card to wrap things up. And let me just say, before we get started, I was getting a pretty big vibe. Initially, I was thinking this could be a money thing. And then actually, as I was looking at the cards right before I started to record, I started to get a feeling that for some of you, you might be considering a move overseas. Now, obviously, that wouldn't be for everyone, but I would say especially if you guys have Libra placements too. So, let's say you're Scorpio Sun, but maybe your Mercury and Venus are in Libra. Definitely check out that video too, because they had a bit of an international vibe going as well. All right. So with that out of the way, starting with the main situation position, we have the Judgment card. So, this is actually one of your cards for me. Like I always say, obviously the Death card is the main major arcana card for you guys, and then I view the Judgment card as the rebirth side of your death to rebirth energy. So this could just represent something coming back around that, you thought was off the table in the recent past. And also, before I forget too, for some reason I had to stop myself from saying October 2019 when I first started to shuffle your cards. So maybe this could even be going back to October of last year, or a plan that you had in place, at least initially, to put in place in October of 2019 that maybe got scrapped along the way and you thought wasn't going to happen. Maybe now it's back on the table, or whatever delay it was behind this thing that you thought was already supposed to happen. Maybe you find out that there will be movement with it and you can get it completed by October 2019. All right, so, as far as what this could be around, it could be around anything. Given that I do see this as a card of your sign, this may be something possibly even from the time of the full moon in your sign. So, it was back in the time of Taurus, and possibly even during the time of Gemini, since Gemini is your 8th house. So could be revolving around those energies there. In the challenger obstacle position, we have the 8 of Wands. So to me, with this coming up in the challenge position, this could just be saying that the challenge is actual getting communication around this rebirth, or maybe that's the issue in the first place, is actually taking action on it. Like you might know very well that yes, I could get this back off the ground, and you may want to, but the actual issue might be you actually taking action toward it. There might be some hesitation, especially for those of you, like I said, if you have a prominent Libra placement in your chart, because I saw a lot of anxiety around their energy as well. So that could be saying that that's what the challenge is. This often does point to communication for a lot of people, but at the same time, it also does represent taking action. And it might just be that there's a lot going on. So maybe there is something that you want to get off the ground, but you just have a whole lot of other things going on right now that are preventing you from getting this main thing back off the ground, and you're trying to wrap those things up. And if that's the case, again, that could also be saying that, whatever this is you're trying to get, it might take until October 2019 for that to get back on track. All right, in the foundation position, we have the Knight of Wands. This is actually a court card for Sagittarius. And actually, I don't remember if I mentioned it. Sorry, Mercury retrograde, but this actually is a Sagittarius card as well, the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius. So already we have 2 Sagittarius cards in the spread. So for you guys, Sagittarius is your second house of money, self-worth. So, and Jupiter actually has been retrograde there for quite a while. And now around August 10th or 11th, depending on where you are, it'll start to go direct again. So if this is some kind of a holdup around money, that could be what helps kick that back forward again in the month of August, because beyond just the Mercury retrograde stuff that could cause delays. Obviously, you might have felt like something slowed up financially for you guys as well. And then, of course, there's the obvious thought of travel with this card, right? So, again, this could just be pointing to more of that energy that I'm feeling with maybe some of you guys wanting to go overseas. And then, absolutely, this could just represent a Sagittarius that you're dealing with as well. In the past position, we have the Temperance card. So, yet again, another Sagittarius energy. A lot of Sagittarius energy here. And with this one, to me, this card does represent balance primarily, right? So some of you, this could even represent some of you might be on the cusp because we have the 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on earth. So maybe, you're closer to the very end of your sign. But what could be going on there primarily, I'm getting more than anything, is that this could be saying that maybe you've been testing the water in the past regarding whatever this move is. Like I said, for a lot of you, I think it's really a overseas move you're considering, or maybe you were testing the waters as far as some kind of financial start. And lastly, you could even be saying that you were testing the waters regarding a relationship with this person. Like I said, most likely for a lot of you, it could be a Sagittarius. So that's what I'm picking up on primarily there. And let's not overlook the fact that, the angel here, then the angel in the judgment card definitely looks like something back then, right? Looks like it could be coming back around. So I do have to at least mention, because I was mentioning the Gemini energy before, maybe this was even around the time of the Sagittarius full moon specifically. So something to think about there. All right, in the present position, we have the moon card. Now, I'm actually recording this right as we're dealing with the lunar eclipse that was taking place in Capricorn. So for those of you who don't see this until August, that was when I did record it during the Capricorn eclipse. But with this in the present, yeah, you know what this is making me think of first? The moon is the natural ruler of Cancer, and Cancer is the natural 4th house. So again, this has me thinking about a move, and you just might not be clear on it yet. So that could be what this is pointing to. And not to mention the fact that this month, there will be a full moon in your 4th house. Your 4th house is Aquarius, and there's going to be a full moon in Aquarius. So that could be saying that, maybe that's the timeline you're looking for to make a decision. You might be like, all right, let me hold off until this full moon. Or, what it could even say as well, these things can happen. Let's say it revolves around a career offer, because you're going to have a new moon in the sign of Leo, and Leo is your 10th house. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe you were looking toward getting a job overseas. Maybe it seemed like it fell apart for whatever reason. You might get some communication that, hey, actually, we would like to offer you the job, right? It might come in around the time of the Leo new moon. So then that's where you see how the energies connect there. The 4th house would be the full moon, which could represent you potentially moving. 10th house would be the reason why. Maybe you get a career offer. Like, hey, we'd really like you to work for us. Okay, so now all of a sudden you might have to move overseas, where you might have been excited about that in the past, but then it seemed to fall apart. Now it comes back around out of nowhere. And you know what I have to say? I don't want to get too wrapped up in that theme, because that can't be the case for everyone. So what else that could point to? Could just be saying that in the present you might be feeling a bit confused and conflicted, again, around whatever this restart is. So for some of you, this could just be restarting a relationship, maybe with a Sagittarius, right? Or, it could be any connection you're thinking about restarting, but maybe you're still a bit confused about whether you should take action toward it or not, which is why that could be popping up in the challenger obstacle position. And then also I should mention we do have the star card at the bottom of the deck, which again is more Aquarius energy, which again to me makes me think of that Aquarius full moon that we'll be having. And I'm not going to go too crazy on the bottom of the deck, but beneath that we have the King of Cups, which is actually your card. So yeah. And then, all right, the last one I'm going to pull because we'll be here for like an hour. But we have the Hermit card beneath that. So could this represent you really, going introspective and trying to decide, okay, do I want to make this move, right? That could be what's going on there. All right, in the near future, we have the Knight of Swords. So this is actually a Gemini card. So for you guys, Gemini is actually your 8th house, and you guys are natural rulers of the 8th house. And again, at the time of recording this, we were having a full moon eclipse in your 3rd house of communication. So maybe that brings to light something that you decide you do want to communicate about, right? It could be regarding that judgment situation, absolutely, because it looks like the knight is rushing right into that situation. So that could be what that's regarding. It may be you that's communicating something to someone regarding getting something off the ground, or this may be communication coming into you. I would just say keep in mind that at the time I'm recording this, obviously Mercury's still retrograde, but it will be direct by the time August starts, but it'll still be in shadow. And then I've been warning a few signs about this since I've been seeing some Aquarius energy. Around the time of that Aquarius full moon, all right, so when the Mercury retrograde first started, it kicked off with Mercury squaring Uranus in your opposite sign of Taurus. All right, and now as it's going direct through August, right around the time of that full moon in Aquarius, it's actually going to make that same aspect again. It's going to square Uranus in your opposite sign. So, and Mercury would be in your 10th house. So keep that in mind. It could be around marriage, career, you name it. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Tower. So, this can represent a sudden decision on your hand to, if we think of the Tower as potentially your home, this could be you making the sudden decision to make that move, right? Like, all right, you know what, I'm going to leave. And that might throw people for a loop because most people might have had no idea you were having any plans of moving. And for some, you could even be that you might be in a relationship currently, and the person you're with had no idea that you applied for this job overseas, and then that might throw them for a loop. Might be like, by the way, I'm moving to Japan or something out of nowhere, and they're like, okay, where the hell did that come from? I do have to say though, this is in your position as far as your influence on the situation. So this is one of the better spots to have it if you're going to have a Tower, I guess, because to me it does represent that you have some control over the situation. So it seems like a Tower moment you would be putting into place. But I would have to say, just keep in mind it could also be due to your actions, meaning that something you do causes a Tower moment. So I do have to at least say, given that the Knight of Swords, moving back towards that judgment situation, just keep in mind, that if you're not trying to cause a Tower moment, try to be mindful of your communication, like I said, especially because up until the middle of the month, really, Mercury's still going to be doing a little bit of funky stuff. So just wanted to put that out there. And then I will also say, for those of you who might be more worried about this playing out in some kind of physical way, I always recommend to people they could pick up some black tourmaline. The reason I say that, the striations in raw black tourmaline reminds me of what we see here at the bottom of the tower, and then also just the story of Devil's Tower, if you guys have ever heard that. Reminds me of the protection behind black tourmaline. So, you can pick that up. It's relatively inexpensive, so you can look into that if you just want to carry that around with you for the month, if you're worried about something physically happening, but I don't see it as being a physical thing for the majority of you. In the position of the environment's influence on the situation, we have the Four of Swords. So if this represents another person, this can definitely represent, again, like if it's that thing where you might drop a sudden bomb on them, like, hey, by the way, I'm moving overseas. And they're like, where the hell did that come from? Obviously, they might have to, take some time and heal from that, right? Um, for others of you, if this is some kind of healing around a situation that you're trying to do, with this in the environment, yes, this can point to the energy of another person, but it can also just represent the overall energy of the situation and the environment, saying that, this can be a symbol that you can heal the situation. For some of you, it may actually take this tower moment. Maybe it's just, again, because, like I said, your third house of communication has had a lot of karmic things going on with it. I'm sure you guys are well aware of it at this point, especially even from my readings too, but just talking about how, there were some tense aspects with Saturn in your house of communication, Pluto, the South Node. Obviously, you had that eclipse there just now, so there's definitely some lesson around communication for some of you. And, so maybe this is just something long overdue that you've had to communicate to someone that maybe they had no idea about, and maybe, that really throws them for a loop, and now they're like, okay, what the hell do I do with that information? But overall, this is definitely a healthy card to see if there is some kind of conflict either that already took place or will take place, because it shows that there will be room for healing after it. In the position of the hopes or fears, we have the Two of Wands and the Seven of Cups. So again, with this move dynamic, the first thing that comes to my mind, looking at that Two of Wands, right? The guy has the globe in his hand, looking out over the horizon. Definitely seems like he's thinking about making a move, right? And then with the Seven of Cups, could just be saying that, you're fearful of making the wrong choice. You might just still be hesitating, especially if we put him back in the spread. He's looking at the star card. So on the one hand, you might realize that, this could really be a big wish fulfillment for me, right? But then on the other side, you have the fact that there's the moon in the present position. So you still might not be seeing things clearly, and you might be worried about that. You might be like, is there something I'm missing? And, something might just end up taking place this month that ends up making that decision for you one way or another. So let's say something in your home environment changes where you're like, I just can't be here anymore. And that might be what, is the catalyst to make you make the move, or the other way around. Maybe where you were planning on going, you hear about something and you're like, yeah, I'm definitely not making that move. But, seems to be some, on the one hand, that desire to make that move, and on the other, a bit of anxiety around worrying about making the wrong decision. And in the outcome position, we have the Hierophant card. So this is the major arcana card for Taurus. Didn't really pick up on much of a Taurus vibe beyond that. But certainly some of you could be dealing with a Taurus. This could represent you actually possibly making a commitment as well. This definitely is a energy that could point to that, long-term commitments being made, and especially since it is your 7th house. And we have Uranus going retrograde in that house now, so maybe if there was a sudden split in the past with that Uranus energy, maybe you guys actually are able to put things back together. And let's say, this is just a random example, since, like I was saying, I had that October 2019 almost come out of my mouth when I started to shuffle for this reading. Maybe for some of you, you might have had a plan to get married in October 2019. You might have been engaged, you had the plan, okay, we're going to do it in October 2019. Maybe with Uranus in your opposite sign, maybe it made some crazy aspect. Could have even been very recent. Like I said, maybe even when that Mercury retrograde started and it squared Uranus, maybe you guys had a blow-up fight. You might have thought that it was over. And then, the energy resettles, and now you guys get back on track. And okay, now we're back on track to actually go through with the marriage in October, right? That could be the way it's playing out for some of you. For others of you, since we did have a lot of Sagittarius energy, if this is regarding finances, maybe this is you getting an offer. Again, could be an overseas organization, because I was picking up on that vibe as well, but could just even be an offer from a big corporation. And, maybe you're leaving one place of employment abruptly and going to this one, right? That could be the way it's playing out as well, because you might have thought that the opportunity was dead and gone, so you didn't even mention to your current employer that there was the possibility you'd be taking a job. They might rush in all of a sudden with an offer like, hey, we do want to give you the job, and they might have a firm start date, and you're like, oh, I have to leave, and that might be where the anxiety comes through, where you're like, oh, should I do this, So something to keep in mind there. All right, we'll see what the oracle cards add to the mix. So the first one we got is Truth Be Told. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 14. So Temperance card again. So maybe again, same number there, 14. It could be tying back to something from the past that you need to communicate about, but we'll see what the messages say. All right, it says honesty, accepting things at face value, coming out of denial, the willingness to be transparent, clarity of communication. The oracle's message: there is the truth, which is the essence of a thing, and then there is a truth, subjective according to the philosophy of the adherent or believer. This is not a time for debate about which truth is truer. This is a time when you are called to proclaim your truth out loud and be willing to be transparent, honest, and open in your communication with others and with yourself. Nothing less than surrender to what is, peeling off the layers of denial that kept you tied to an illusion, will set you free. Be authentic and gloriously flawed, and Spirit will answer with miracles. So interesting there, because I did have that vibe where I was saying, all of the stuff, and this has been long-term stuff going on in the third house, but it just might be that eclipse that just took place there that really might have brought things to a head to where you can't not communicate about this anymore. You know what I mean? It's like you have to say what it is you have to say. Maybe it's going to really shock some people, and maybe this is also seeing things differently, right? Maybe it was a connection you had built up to be a bit more stable than it actually was. And maybe this is saying, okay, you might have to reframe how you look at it. And with that Four of Swords and then the Hierophant, maybe there will be a chance to rebuild it on a more stable, firm footing. But yeah, hopefully you guys got something from that. All right, the relationship message says, people tell you who they are very quickly if you are willing to listen to what they say and pay attention to how they behave. This card calls you to engage in heartfelt, open conversation. It's time to see the truth about what you share with each other and tell the truth about who you are and what you need. No one can do that for you. Remember that your truth is always based in your personality and experience up to now. A higher truth will be found after you communicate honestly and see how doing so has helped you become more attuned to yourself. Don't hold back. Speak your truth and listen. So again, nothing really to reiterate there. We've already covered most of that. And then the prosperity message says, are you willing to do whatever it takes to experience the prosperous life you desire? If you want to be an artist, do you make your art a priority? If you want to be a healer, do you set time aside to learn new things to help you serve? A writer must write, and a singer must sing. Being true to your calling is essential to your moving forward. There is another oracle message here too. It's time to have a look at the real, honest truth about your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about prosperity, about your relationship to money, to compensation, and to meaningful work. Ask yourself, what is true for me? And you will find the key to abundance. So that's interesting too, because like we were saying, there is a lot of Sagittarius energy on the table as well, and that is your second house. Jupiter's been retrograding there for a bit. It will be moving direct this month. So maybe that's going to help you reframe how you do feel about finances. And, maybe that's part of what the overseas vibe I was getting was too. Maybe whatever it is you want to pursue might require you to move overseas. And that might be what it's saying. It's like, all right, well, if you really want to do that, how committed to that are you, right? Are you willing to make that big move if you need to? All right, and then the next oracle card we have is Hawk Spirit. It says, let spirit be your guide. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 32. And this is from the Spirit Animal Oracle, by the way. Don't remember if I mentioned that or not. Again, sorry, Mercury retrograde. All right. Oracle message says, flying high above the landscape, the hawk sees both the big picture and the small details, observes the rain and the pond as well as the cloud, and doesn't miss anything. When Hawk Spirit arrives, you are called to pay close attention to messages from Spirit that can appear anywhere in any form. Listen to your intuition and keep your eyes open for synchronicities, the meaningful coincidences. Hawk Spirit asks you not to dismiss the signs that Spirit is sending to guide you. Lately, have you been hearing the same word or song, or coming across the same symbol, here, there, and in the strangest places? Perhaps you hear a song on the radio with just the right lyric pertaining to your query, or you begin to notice uncanny billboards, license plates, or other places where repetitive numbers or words show up for you to notice. Pay attention to the animals that appear for you and connect with their symbolism. Spirit wants to communicate and reaches out again and again. When Hawk Spirit appears, it is a sign to listen. So, definitely a pretty cool message there. It almost sounds like it's talking about the general ascension process. And maybe that's what that is too. With these blue energies here, and like I was saying, with the fact that you guys just had an eclipse in your third house of communication, maybe this actually represents your crown chakra, right? Maybe you're getting some realignment there. All right. And then lastly, I have a mudra card. So, for those of you who haven't seen my general readings this year, I've been pulling mudra cards for all the signs. And what a mudra is it's basically a hand gesture that you hold while meditating to help clear blockages, usually mental, emotional, but sometimes even physical blockages. And mudra you guys got this month is right here. It's the Shunya mudra. And the keyword for it is omnipresence. Turn the card around and, let you guys either pause it or take a screenshot to read some of the information about it. Now, not everything fits in this frame, so I will move it up a bit so you guys can get the rest. But yeah, under benefits it says improves hearing, reduces ringing in the ear and earache, decreases vertigo, improves balance. Especially useful during travel. With air travel, it helps the ears adjust to the changing pressure during takeoff and landing. During water and land travel, it helps prevent motion sickness. So yeah, maybe that's even more of an indicator that some of you guys might be moving overseas with the air travel angle there, right? But yeah, I'll put the name of that mudra in the description as well for those of you who are interested in looking into that a bit more, if it sounds like something that you would find useful. Wrap up there, guys, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.